to my second album review. This time I've decided to go with an album that I consider to be in my top 5 of all time, if not top 1. There barely goes a week without me listening to this album somewhere. Usually, it used to be in the car or via CD. It was released in '94, and at the time it wasn't widely pressed onto vinyl. It was put onto a picture disc, I think, and that was it. And you have to pay top dollar to get hold of one of those picture discs, unfortunately. But luckily for me, last year, the 20th anniversary, they re-released it. It's by the Manic Street Preachers, and it's an album called The Holy Bible. It's, for Manic's fans, probably their seminal work. Certainly for me, other people, I know the Manic Street Preachers divide, so you might find lots of people don't like them. But this is completely different from the stuff that they release now, and have done since, really. This is '94, so Everything Must Go, their album after this, came out in '96, was a little bit softer in its sound. '98, This Is My Truth, so yeah, they kind of went a bit middle of the roady. So we've got this image on the front here, delightful, with a track listing. On the back we've got the Manic's usual quotes, famous quotes by authors and poets and stuff, and we have a picture of the band there. So we've got James Dean Bradfield, Richie James, Sean Moore and Nicky Wire, or Nicky Jones, called Nicky Wire because he's extremely lanky. So when they did the picture disc, they did the disc had this image on it. I think it was smaller and kind of in the middle of the disc with a track listing underneath the spindle hole. So that's the box opened. I treated myself to this as soon as I heard it was coming out. There was no way I wasn't going to get this. To have a copy on vinyl is something that I've wanted for a long time. So in there we get there's lots and lots of paraphernalia, but this is the actual vinyl disc. It's in its own bag, and within that, I'll put it in an anti-static bag, of course, keep it a little bit safe. So there we go. Yeah, lovely, really heavy. Again, don't subscribe to heavy is better necessarily, as long as it sounds beautiful. I don't really care how heavy it is, but it's certainly really nice to hold. We've got a picture there, many faces of Jesus. I think on the CD, that's the picture that's actually on the CD disc, if I remember correctly, and then various different kind of political things from around the world. The inner sleeve has more of the same, some more quotations and stuff. So this is the last album that featured a chap called Richie James, or Richard James. He was mainly the lyricist of the Manics, him and Nicky Wire, the bass player. Although this album is about 80% of his lyrics. The difference between this and the earlier albums for the Manics is that he actually, or the music actually doesn't take any lyrics out. It doesn't make them easier to sing. The composer James Dean Bradfield and Sean Moore, they very specifically kept all the lyrics in, so that it does feel like he's kind of machine gunning off lyrics at times. It's really kind of quick fire, and he's going through all this very deep material at times. So that's kind of one of the defining factors, I suppose, of the album. With the package, you also get this lovely book, which is, if it's not taken care of, this could very easily destroy itself. I've read through it a couple of times. It's got lots of pictures, quotes. There's not a lot of material in here that I haven't heard before. There's lots of kind of handwritten lyrics and things like that. It's lovely, very lovely. There's some nice pictures in there I haven't seen before. But generally speaking, it's not anything that really fascinates me. The vinyl pressing actually was what I was really excited about. As well as that, so there's that. The vinyl itself comes in a gatefold. Now I've taken it out of the gatefold to keep it nice and safe, but there is indeed a gatefold. This is the gatefold, and the reason I've taken it out is because I want to keep it nice and fresh. So that's that there. The back's the same as the box, but then inside, woo, that's where the vinyl goes in that one there. We've got 4 CDs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of CDs just for one album. So let's pick it through. We've got the original Holy Bible CD. I've got that. I've actually got that. I've got the 10th anniversary one as well, so that's fine. Happy with that. We've got the Holy Bible US mix. So when it was released in the US, it had a different mix on it. For me, I listen to the album regularly. That sounds completely different to the British mix. Some tracks I really prefer, Revol particularly, I really like on there. Some of them I don't prefer, but then it's nice to have that. I have actually got a a CD upstairs of my favourite Holy Bible mix. So it's a mixture of the two, whichever track I prefer in whichever mix. So yeah, that's all lovely and stuff. We've got all the B-sides. That's B-sides from the singles that were released. There's some really great stuff on the B-sides, but there's, again, I've got all the singles, so there's nothing really I haven't got there. But it's nice to have them all in one place. And then this I was quite excited about. This is the live CD. So they did a couple of shows at a place called the Astoria, an old cinema in London. A couple of shows in '94, back to back. I think it was 2. It might have been 3. Really famous shows. It's the last time that they appeared with Richie on stage with them before he disappeared. He disappeared just after that. It's been almost 20 years since he disappeared. Assumed dead, but there are many people that believe he is still alive and just ran away. So yeah, so that Astoria CD is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely love it. Completely different from the album, obviously, because it's live. In terms of material on the album, what's the style of it? It's not an easy listen at times. It's quite jagged. It's quite abrupt. There's some really, difficult songs to listen to. 4 Stone 7 Pound track 7 is about 4 Stone 7 Pound is the weight at which, if you get to, you can't recover from. Is what medical professionals would say. And that whole song is based on a riff which is on a diminished 7th chord, if you know what that is, which is just, it sounds uncomfortable. The majority of that song sounds pretty uncomfortable. If white America told the truth for just one day, its world would fall apart. With a track like that, you don't really have to question it, do you? We've got things like Revol, which is the word lover spelled backwards, which is about Richie Edwards' complete failure to nail down a relationship in any way, and he compares himself, his situation, to famous past people. PCP, we don't know what that's about. I've read interviews about that and nobody really knows. It's very, very dark. Sheer suffering, it's depression, etc, etc, etc. So, Die in the Summertime, Archives of Pain. This isn't an easy listen. But I remember in 1994, at the ripe age of 11, when it came out, I bought it with my paper round money, and ever since I've been completely infatuated with the Manics. So that's why I chose this album. If you've no knowledge or experience of the Manic Street Preachers, you can start with this album by all means. I possibly would start elsewhere and work towards this, but I hold this very, very highly in my collection. I'm really actually happy. Earlier this year they did some further releases on vinyl of it on Record Store Day. Record Store Day splits the masses, doesn't it? But I bought it anyway. So they did a picture disc version of the whole album, but this is the US mix, and I think they did a picture disc in the US of the British mix. I'm a bit of a completist, so at some point I'll get around to buying it, but I'm not going to pay the earth. I managed to get into the store and get this one before they all went off the shelf, so I was really happy with that. And that's I've honestly not played that. I know what it sounds like. I don't want to scratch the picture or anything like that. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. That picture there of this boy here, if you can see it, and then actually there's a picture of Jesus just there with his eyes just there, kind of superimposed over each other. They were actually different covers from different singles. That one's from PCP, I think, off the top of my head. So, Manic Street Preachers, Holy Bible, absolutely top recommended album. Don't forget to subscribe to my Twitter feed or my YouTube channel. Thanks.